So the West Coast Eagles had a intra-club game and they live streamed at least the first half for every Eagles fan to see. Stayed up late here in the UK to watch, and I tell you what, it got me excited. I am so excited for season 2024. This is maybe the most excited for an Eagles season I've felt in a long time. And in this video, we're going to break down the match sim, what I took from it, and tell you exactly why I'm excited. Before I get into it, if this is the first video you watch on this channel and you recognize this silly little face from True Footy, this is a brand new channel I've made to express myself about the Eagles as often as I want. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, chuck a subscribe down there. That doesn't make any grammatical sense. Please hit subscribe. Okay, so let's talk about this intra-club. So what is the difference between a match sim and an intra-club? Nothing really. A intra-club might be a bit more of a formalized game of football as opposed to match sims, which they might simulate scenarios a little bit more. I don't really know actually what the difference is. Doesn't matter though. This one was open to the public and the Eagles live streamed it on their YouTube channel, and I didn't know it was happening. I looked down, I was staying up too late, looked at my phone, I was like, oh my God, there's a game on. I was so excited, and I watched the first 2 quarters in bed. And I'll tell you what I saw really got me going. I'm really excited for some of the things that I saw that I didn't expect to see. And I know that it's an intra-club, but I will go through it all in a bit. So general premise for this game was I think they played 2 30-minute quarters, and then they played a third quarter which was not televised, and then that flowed into like a skills session or something as well. So we had a team wearing blue, we had a team wearing white, and the blue team to start was kind of like our best 22. So it was basically our best 22 versus the rest, and you'll notice if you watch the footage, you'll see a lot of players you don't recognize from the waffle. Now team lists weren't formally announced, but a couple of interesting things that I took were Campbell Chester did start in the B team, not a massive shock, but worth noting, and Luke Edwards started in the A team, which is a little bit of a surprise. It's also worth noting, by the second quarter, when the blue team had pretty much gotten a hold of the white team fairly easily, they started mixing things around. I believe the 2 backline switched, so you had the weaker backline playing with a stronger team and vice versa. Now, before I crack into everything that did happen, will highlight the players that did not play in this, which are worth mentioning. So we know that Liam Ryan has a long-term injury. Dom Sheeter's obviously still recovering from that foot injury, and Darling as well from a hamstring. Those are probably the biggest names. Jermaine Jones is another one that is out, I think, with groin soreness, which is somewhat concerning. Elijah Hewitt also didn't play in this, but it does sound like he is starting to ramp up his training loads as well, which I think is a good sign because, the last time it was reported, it seemed like we didn't know how long he was going to be off feet. Archer Reed obviously didn't play. Zane True's got a back injury. Jai Cully's not quite right yet from his ACL, but he seems to be on the right track. I think Rotham also has a groin. Well, he definitely does have a groin, but whether it's injured or not, I think that is the case. And the only one I don't have an answer on is Rhett Bazzo. He didn't play in this game, and I'm not 100% sure why, but nothing necessarily to be concerned about. Now, with this game, from what I could see, a lot more good than bad. And to be honest, with an intra-club and a preseason game, you can ignore pretty much all the bad signs. We've seen some horrific preseason performances in good seasons, and you should also apply the same logic the other way. I've also seen us play well in the preseason, and the season went horribly. So that being said, there are a few clear negatives that I'll point out before getting to the good stuff. You may have heard by now that Clay Hall got wrapped up in a tackle by Elliot Yeo. Watching at the time from the footage, it looked like Yeo might have slammed Hall's head into the turf, but that's not actually the case. Looks like Hall has an ankle injury, and it seems, moderately concerning. I think the club said they're hoping it's not too bad, but, generally the language around it suggests that he might be out for a little bit, which sucks. Sounds like he was in some red hot form. There's a couple of other, hopefully minor injuries that came from this game. So Harry Edwards has a finger injury. This guy's made of glass. I love the kid. I really want him to get fit, but man, he has some horrific luck, and he's got a finger injury from this game. I don't know how bad that is. I don't know if he needs surgery or anything like that. The other one is Jeremy McGovern, pulled up again with a bit of groin soreness, which is not ideal, but again, that could be nothing. They might just deload him for a little bit, but groin injuries, the top end of them can be pretty bad. So that's all the negative stuff. Let's talk about the things that I really got excited about in this video. First off, Harley Reid, my God. I've seen his highlights tape. I follow the draft. I know how good he is. But when you actually, like I say, that's the first time I've seen him in the competitive hit out. And, we know what attributes he has. But what really stuck out to me was how composed he looked already. Taking that extra second, playing like a seasoned veteran already. Of course, 2 quarters of footy, I know, but the extra second he took, his ball use inside 50, he's a pretty damn good kick, his poise overall. Further to that, some line-breaking speed, which I knew he had, but it was just so refreshing to actually see him wearing an Eagles jumper and running past players, because that is something we haven't seen for a little while, other than someone like a Jaden Hunt or a Jermaine Jones. But Harley Reid genuinely has that acceleration that can really generate separation and break play up a bit, which which is eye-catching. So, there was footage as well of him. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get it for this video, but there's a footage of Ruben Jinbi launching himself at a Reed tackle, and Reed shrugs him off, which is, not just about strength. It's a bit about strength, but also a bit of technique. And Harley Reid just brushes that tackle off as though it's nothing, which suggests he's well and truly AFL ready. And I'm starting to rethink my prediction that he might not win the Rising Star, because my God, he is so good. The other big bright spark was Jamie Cripps. I'm super pleased that this guy is in ripping nick, because he has had his injury woes over the years, and the way he finished last season, I think if he can bring that form into this year, it would be so huge. He really sets the standard with, defensive running as a forward. The best version of Jamie Cripps as well is also dangerous around goals, and we saw that, kicked 3 goals in the first 10 minutes. Apparently they said on the broadcast this is the best he's felt in years, and I'm so excited about that. I think this guy does still have so much to offer us. Ruben Jinbi also did catch my eye. I've been a little bit lukewarm on the hype, because sometimes you just see players develop physically and smash the time trials, and it doesn't quite translate. But I did see some really good signs from him that I like. One of them is composure. You're just getting the hands free and getting a handball out. I think that's a good sign of development. But also there was this play, and I don't think I'll be able to get the footage of it as such, but there's a play where he just does this massive defensive run, and just that burst speed that he has to just completely intercept and spoil, I think, one of the white team's kicks to the edge of the 50. He just covers so much ground so quickly and totally interrupts a play that probably should have resulted in a goal. And that's the thing that excites me with Jinbi. I'm not expecting him to get 25 and get 10 clearances in a game, but what he adds as a defensive runner with his tenacity, his endurance, his athleticism, I think it's what he adds to us that we don't have, that I've been reminded of. That defensive edge, that athleticism. As a second-year player, he can add plenty to this midfield that has been lackluster for a while. I will shout out Jaden Hunt. I'll be shocked if last year wasn't a career best year. I know that he's a good player for Melbourne. I don't think he's a premiership player. I think he missed out, but I know that he was a good player there, but I still didn't expect him to have the impact that he did last year, and I think he really carried that into this game. And again, from an attributes point of view, his work rate, his leg speed, he is so much better than I thought he was. Let's talk about Ryan Marrick as well. Clear physical development from him, not a transformation, but he was a pretty raw, skinny kid when we picked him up, and this is his first preseason with the club, and he just looks a little bit bigger. But that's not the main positive. The main positive, he kicked 2 goals, 3 here, and was opportunistic, and I really, really do think we need to keep this guy in the team. I made a video on True Footy a few months back, and I had him missing out of best 22 because I felt like our forward line was too tall. And I don't care anymore. Get him in the side. He is one of our best young talents. And that's saying something. The list of young talent is starting to thicken out now, and it's genuinely exciting. As for the new recruits, Brockman and Flynn both had an impact. Brockman as well, I don't know how many stats he had or how many possessions he had, and ultimately that's a pretty good way to measure impact. But what I saw from the eye test was kind of what I suspected in the preseason, which is that he just has really good composure, good skill, good intensity. I saw a really good defensive run he did as well. These are all things we lack as much as anything. So I'm not going as far as to say, wow, he's going to be an amazing player. Hopefully he will be. But it's these traits that we've previously lacked that we exhibited big time from a lot of the individuals I've talked about in this video that gets me excited. This is a very different feel this time. Matthew Flynn as well seems to be making a good impact. I will temper my expectations with him purely because, on paper, our list doesn't have the strongest rucks. It's not like he's going head-to-head with Nick Naitanui and beating him in an Intra club. But around the ground, a couple of good strong marks, his physicality, he's different to Williams. They're a pretty good 1-2 punch. So I'm optimistic about where that goes. I think I like what I see so far. And, you'd have to think that our ruck division will only be stronger. Bailey Williams has got another year under his belt, a breakout season last year, and Matthew Flynn is probably an underappreciated ruck that we've prized loose with GWS. Those were the main things that got me excited. I'll run through a few other notable things from this game, whether you watched it or not. This is kind of what I took from it. Duggan didn't play in the midfield, apparently. They said that on the broadcast. I wasn't watching that closely to tell who was at centre bounces. It was 1 a.m. But, forecasted to play more midfield this year and didn't attend one centre bounce, I don't think. Harvey Johnston, now I have tempered my expectations with him because I just think he's so raw and so skinny that he's probably going to take a whole year. But really nice angular kick hard up against the boundary line. He found a target inside 50. I've heard good things about his skills. That was the first time I saw him execute a kick and go, ooh, nice. Tyrell Dewar as well, which I noticed there's this trend. I think they might be taking the piss, but when they did the photo shoot, they're all calling him Tyrell Dewar. I think that was a joke. I'm certain it's Tyrell Dewar. Anyway, Cat B rookie had a couple of nice moments of composure, finished the season well last year in the Waffle, and, could be a surprise debut this year. Like, he doesn't look that far off the pace. I only saw him do a couple of nice things. Obviously, you measure that over time, but with his rate of improvement at the end of last year and him contributing in the weaker side of an Intra club, I thought, really good sign from him. Waterman took some good, strong grabs up forward, which is really pleasing to see. I still think he has plenty to offer at AFL level. Not necessarily like an elite player, but I just think, he could be a long-term best 22 player. And to consider where he's come from his illness, like, that is unreal. So I was really pleased for him to see him have some nice form. Campbell Chester as well. I must admit, I didn't really notice him as a standout, but I did think there were a couple of moments where he again looked composed and looks like he's really benefiting from that exposure and getting this full preseason in. A couple of scrag kick from what I can tell, but that's fine. It does sound like he played a little bit more inside and on ball as opposed to on the wing, which is an interesting development. But maybe he can do both. It's nice to have midfielders who could potentially play both. Like Ruben Jinby could play both. Campbell Chester presumably can as well. Clay Hall is also wingman and midfielder as well. So it's nice to have some versatility. So I know we need to temper the expectations here because obviously it was the A team versus the B team. You'd expect the A team to clap the B team. But it was just the traits of some players that really excited me. Speed and skill and defensive pressure and energy and stamina all seem to be there. And we look very sharp. Like, the skills weren't absolutely on point, but I've seen some footage of other clubs, Intra clubs, and I'm not going to say we're going to be better than any of them necessarily. But in terms of sharpness and intensity, I think we're very comparable with some of the other ones I've seen, if not better. So that's pleasing. We seem to be in really good shape. Players look like they've got a lot of confidence. The attributes that were on show were things we've previously lacked in defensive running, line-breaking speed, composure. This is why I'm excited. I typically see West Coast preseason games, and they're generally lackluster in that. That was pretty damn compelling. So I'm excited. Who knows? We could turn up in the preseason derby, which will of course be a much bigger test and not be able to replicate the same skills. But that's part of this growth process. I'm just happy with what we've seen so far. It was a lot better than I expected, to be completely honest. And you can probably understand now, if you're at this point of the video, why I can't make a video like this, raving about how well the Intra Club went on True Footy. Can you imagine the negative attention I would get? Again, I'm tempering my expectations, of course. I know it's an Intra Club. I'm just saying specific things really excited me. So there you go, guys. Let me know in the comments if anyone was there, you've watched it, or have any other specific thoughts about what I've said in this video. Drop a comment down below. I do appreciate you getting around this channel. I do hope having the second platform will allow me the freedom to, create a little bit more interesting stuff, particularly around West Coast. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for being subscribed, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.